Okay, we have another Kingdom of Wrenly book. Kingdom of Wrenly, The Den of Wolves. Now look at this picture. Oh, it's Grandmommy.
Hello.
Say hi to Lucy and Acadia. Maybe just Acadia. I don't know who's watching, but say
Hi, Lucy or Katie. I have some more books for you, so you can look at them when you get here.
yeah, you know you're coming to see Grandmommy and Granddaddy in May. That's just a few months from now. You're going to come to New Jersey and stay with us for a few days. And Grandmommy has some treasures for you, including some books. Okay, back to my story. We just started on Kingdom of Wrenly, the Book of Wolves.
When do you want another cup of coffee?
When do I want another cup of coffee? In 34 minutes. Okay, now back to our story. Let me adjust this. Kingdom of Wrenly. Now these wolves. Did you know wolves are related to dogs? It's part of the same biological group of animals. They have a common ancestor. It's kind of spooky though. So here's the old map of the Kingdom of Wrenly. Let's see where this is going to take place. We'll find out in a few minutes. And there's kind of a picture of a mountain. Is there a mountain in this story? Mountain, Flat Frost, Primlocks, Crestwood. We'll see where this is. And we see a wolf howling at the moon. Okay. Chapter 1. And what do we see here? Do we see Lucas and we see Clara? And it may be hard to see what Clara is doing, but I know what she's doing because I've done this before. And that is she's driving a stake into the ground. That's like a huge nail. And there's the mallet that she's using. There's a rope that's attached to it. And this is a tent. It's something that holds a tent up. So if you ever go camping the old-fashioned way and you have to make your own tent, you're gonna have to put stakes in the ground that kind of supports the tent and holds it up. Chapter 1, Mr. Mysterious. I did it, Clara exclaimed as she pounded the last stake into the ground with her mallet. My tent is finally all set up. Prince Lucas groaned. Stop bragging, he complained. Poor Lucas had been struggling with his tent. He couldn't attach the canvas to the top of the center pole. It was too high. Clara laughed and shook her head. Then she snapped her fingers and Ruskin sat up. The scarlet dragon grabbed the prince's canvas in his teeth, flew to the top of the pole, and secured it easily. See, there's a pole in the middle. You put part of the tent on top of the pole. There's a little place that it fits into, and then you tie down the sides of the tent with stakes and ropes. That's how it's set up. So Ruskin's helping. Lucas sighed. Why didn't I think of that? Perhaps you like a challenge, Clara suggested. The prince frowned. Not that kind of a challenge. Besides, I thought camping was supposed to be fun. Clara smirked. I don't know. I'm having a great time watching the Prince of Wrenly battle the dreaded tent monster. Ha ha, Lucas gave a fake laugh. Would you lend me a hand already? Clara helped the prince tighten the ropes and pound his stakes into the ground. They set up cots and chairs inside the tents. Now we can hike to Goblin Falls, Lucas said triumphantly. Lucas and Clara had never been to Goblin Falls before. Goblin Falls. Oh, see, wow. See, they have the tent all set up. See the ropes down to the stakes. They're holding the sides of the tent. There are poles inside, and they put their chairs and their cots in there. And they're cooking something. Ruskin's looking at whatever it is they're cooking. It was known to be the most magnificent waterfall in Wrenly. They had traveled across the bridge to the island of Birth to see it. My father says when you stand beside the falls, It's like standing on the edge of the world, said Lucas. Clara tried to imagine it. I've heard when the water crashes onto the rocks, the spray makes you feel like you're floating on a cloud. Okay, here's a picture of what's coming up next. It looks like there's a wizard there. Could that be the same wizard Andre? He looks kind of familiar. That was from the last book we read. Let's see what's happening here. Somebody grunted behind them. It was Grom, one of the kingdom's smartest and sometimes grumpiest wizards. He had joined Lucas and Clara on their trip. Okay, so it's not Andre, it's Grom. Goblin Falls is nothing more than a lot of water falling off of a cliff, the wizard said. Lucas rolled his eyes. He didn't understand why Grom had wanted to come along. Grom didn't care about waterfalls, and he wasn't the type to sit beside a campfire and roast marshmallows either. Grom liked to practice wizardry, and that was all. Would you like help with your tent? The prince offered. I've just learned the secret to hitching the canvas to the post. Grom rolled up his sleeves. I can certainly handle putting up a tent, my prince, he said. Grom closed his eyes, splayed his fingers, and chanted, Forest of birth, hear my spell, grant me now a place to dwell. Oh, okay, that's what he chanted. We'll try that again. Forest of birth, hear my spell, grant me now a place to dwell. Dwell, see that word dwell? D-W-E-L-L, that means a place to live. So he's saying, okay, give me a tent. Presto, abracadabra, there he is, magic. A flash erupted and a tall, thin tent appeared. That's amazing, cheered Lucas, but it's a little, how do you fit in there? Grom pulled back the flap. Why don't you see for yourself? Lucas and Clara entered the tent. I bet it's going to be like some kind of magic, and it looks really, really small on the outside, but really, really big on the inside. Look at that. Look what's inside when they go in. Boy, that magic is really nice. The inside was huge and looked like the home of a nobleman. It had wood floors and real walls. There was a kitchen, a great room, a bedroom, and more. Ruskin flew to the top of the high ceiling and circled the great room. Not bad, the prince exclaimed. Clara turned around, taking it all in. Nobody would ever guess this tiny tent could have such a magnificent home inside. Grom waved them off and slipped on his hiking boots. Now, let's get to Goblin Falls before dark, Grom said, standing up and rubbing his hands together. So there they are. There's Grom talking to Lucas. Before dark? What happens after dark? Lucas asked nervously. Grom paused awkwardly. Why? Because we can't see the beauty of the falls in the dark, that's all. Lucas and Clara looked at each other in surprise. I thought you said Goblin Falls was nothing special, Lucas said. Grom shrugged and said, Don't try to figure me out. Wizards are mysterious. Now, let's get going. See, Grom thinks there's something to be afraid of in the dark, and he's hiding it. Chapter 2. There they go. They're on their way to Goblin Falls. Dire howls. Dire. Okay. The forest trail was dark, except for a few shafts of light that streamed through the trees. Lucas and Clara hopped over the spidery roots and moss-covered rocks to keep up with Grom. The wizard moved like a swift fox. His cloak fluttered behind him as he went down the trail. Lucas wondered if Grom had something else on his mind. The wizard wasn't acting like a happy hiker. His eyes were fixed on the trail, and his mouth was set in a thin, grim line. But Lucas pushed his concerns aside when he heard the thunderous roar of Goblin Falls in the distance. It's a big waterfall making a big noise. We're getting close, Lucas called. Wow, look at that. Remember the waterfalls we saw in Africa? I sure do. I took a lot of pictures. Remember what it was called? Victoria Falls, and it was even bigger than Goblin Falls. The rumble got louder and louder as the path led out of the forest and up onto a ridge. Grom reached the falls first, followed by the kids and Ruskin. They gaped at the rapids plunging over the cliff. The water seemed to vanish into the earth. There they are, the waterfalls. They're up at the top, and the water's going over the falls, so they're looking at it upstream to downstream. Whoa, cried Lucas. It really does feel like you're on the edge of the world. Clara nodded and followed Lucas down the path beside the falls to get a better look. Suddenly, a sharp whistle rang out. The kids looked over at Grom. He waved at them wildly. Lucas and Clara raced back up the path to his side. What's wrong? Asked Lucas. Grom had gone white with fear. Listen, he said. Okay, a whistle rang out. Okay, that's Grom calling the kids. Lucas and Clara heard a faint sound above the booming falls. That's here. Here we go. Remember what that's called? An onomatopoeia. That's right. When you have letters that just make a sound rather than a word. That's ow, 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 ow. It sounds like dogs howling, Lucas said. There they are. See Grom, he looks a little bit worried. Ruskin kind of a little bit worried too. Clara whispered, those aren't dogs. That's the cry of dire wolves. Lucas could not believe it. Impossible. Dire wolves only come out at night. Why would they howl during the day? More howls echoed, and Ruskin flew to Lucas. He patted his dragon on the head. Don't worry, the wolves won't bother us. Wonder how he knows that. Are you sure? Asked Clara. My dad used to tell me lots of scary stories about the dire wolves when I was younger. Lucas is right, Grom answered. Those were made-up stories to scare little children. Dire wolves would never approach a human because they don't trust them. Then Grom marched back down the forest path. We must return to the campsite. Lucas and Clara could hear the concern in Grom's voice and moved to keep up with him. Ruskin also flew close behind. The sun began to set, and the trail began to become harder to follow. Hope they don't get lost. Darkness was everywhere, and the howling wolves turned the once friendly forest creepy. The kids and Grom hiked quickly, without a word, until they reached the campsite and gasped. The kids' tents had been torn and shredded to pieces. What happened to our tents? Cried Clara. And why is yours still standing, Grom? Lucas noted. Grom was busy. He was looking for danger in the dark edges of the camp. My tent has an invisibility charm. The attackers were unable to see it. But enough talk. We all need to get inside, he said. The kids were frozen, staring at the damage. Now, Grom commanded. Chapter 3, Dire Lullaby. Dire is a word that means in extreme danger. Dire, D-I-R-E. If you're in dire straits, that means you're in a dangerous place. If your condition is dire, that means it's really bad. You might be in danger of even something terrible happening to you. Lucas, Clara, and Ruskin all sat on pillows beside an enchanted blue fire. This is inside the magic tent. The magical flame was cool to the touch, yet still kept them warm. Grom stood on the other side of the room, muttering a spell and tossing herbs into a simmering cauldron. The fumes began to shimmer and turned into a swirl of light that encircled the entire tent. It was a protection spell. Do you think he'll use a spell to find the attackers too? Clara asked. Lucas took a marshmallow from the bag next to him and slid it onto a stick. No doubt, he said as he twirled the marshmallow over the blue flame. Clara grabbed the bag away from Lucas. How can you eat at a time like this? We are camping, after all, said Lucas, and it's not really camping until you eat melted marshmallows with troll chocolates. There they are. They have the fake fire there, the blue fire. And Lucas wants to have roasted marshmallows. That looks very charming. Lucas isn't really too afraid. Clara tried not to smile, but couldn't resist. The warm feeling didn't last long. Another dire wolf howl rang out in the distance. More howls answered back. Why are the dire wolves still howling? Lucas asked Clara. They hear it. I have no idea, she admitted, but I know where we can find out. Clara tossed a marshmallow to Ruskin, who happily ate it, and then she jumped up and pulled Lucas with her. Wait, my marshmallow, whined Lucas, but it was too late. Ruskin ate it, too. Without his sweet treat, Lucas trailed after Clara until they found a room filled with bookshelves. They're going to try to get the answer in the books. Why are the dire wolves howling? Maybe they're hungry. Maybe they're hungry for little kids and a scarlet dragon. I was right, said Clara. Only a wizard would bring a library on a camping trip. After searching for a book about dire wolves, the two friends sat down to learn more about the mysterious creatures. According to this, dire wolves are rarely seen by humans, Lucas said. What we do know about dire wolves has been learned from studying their paw prints, abandoned dens, and their wolf droppings. Okay, they're reading about that. You know what wolf droppings are? Wolf droppings are the poop. Sometimes you can tell something about what animals have been someplace by looking and see what kind of poop they leave behind. Kind of gross, huh? There was a drawing of a paw print. It was huge. It's a paw print. See, there's the bottom part, and then there are 4 toes and some toenail marks. Clara took over. It says dire wolves are as big as saber-toothed tigers. It also says they travel in packs and are fiercely loyal to their families. They turned the page to see more drawings. The enormous wolves had thick, marbled fur coat and yellowed eyes. There they are. This is a picture in the book. It's supposed to be really, really big. Really big. So there they are, and it looks like they're dreaming about dire wolves. See that? I think that depicts a dream. They're all asleep. Look at that, how cute. Ruskin's sleeping on Lucas, just like Rex used to sleep on Acadia. That's so sweet. They're beautiful, Clara said, yawning. Lucas and Ruskin yawned too. Suddenly, the long day of hiking caught up with them. They were tired. They shuffled back to the great room and curled up on the pillows in front of the fire. The sound of the howling wolves lulled them to sleep. Chapter 4. Okay, we got 2 more chapters in this reading, and then I'll read the second half in a separate video. Okay, Ruskin is on top of Lucas again and trying to wake him up. Whap, whap, whap. Oh, this is called dire pup. Dire pup. Okay. Whap, whap, whap. Look at that. More an onomatopoeia. Whap, whap, whap. See, this is just a sound. Letters making a sound rather than a word. Lucas woke up to a flutter of dragon wings in his face. Ruskin was standing smack on the prince's chest. See that? Whap, whap, whap. Flapping his wings, waking him up. Boy, I bet that's a hard way to wake up. The little dragon hopped up and down excitedly and pointed his tail across the room. Lucas heard an odd, high-pitched whimper. and saw something moving in the shadows of the tent. "What's going on?" Clara asked, rubbing her eyes. "You're not going to believe this," Lucas whispered, "but there's a dire wolf pup inside with us." Oh my gosh, the dire wolves will do anything to protect their young, and now there's a dire wolf pup. That means a little dire wolf, a baby dire wolf, inside the tent. And there he is. How did that happen? I don't get it. How did that happen? How did he get inside the tent? He doesn't look too fierce. That's because he's so young. He's like a baby. He's a little baby. He doesn't know he's supposed to be fierce. Lucas and Clara watched the pup creep out from under the kitchen table. The pup's tail caught on the tablecloth, and she dragged it along with her. Plates, cups, and silverware crashed loudly to the floor. So her tail caught the tablecloth, and she pulled it off accidentally and made a big noise. Wham! Crash! Ruskin's all aflutter. The noise startled the pup and Ruskin. The dragon flew away, but the pup yelped and bounded over next to the kids. Lucas carefully held out a hand, and the pup lifted her head to sniff it. "It's okay," Lucas said softly. "You can trust me." The wolf pup crawled into his lap, plumped down, and relaxed. "You've got a new friend," said Clara. Oh, wow. I don't know. A wolf pup might have a mama and a daddy who are looking for him. This could be a dangerous situation. Lucas watched the pup's chest lift and fall with every breath. How did she get past Grom's spells? Clara thought for a moment. Maybe the tent is open to anyone or anything that needs protection. Ah, okay. So you can come in if you need protection, and the little pup got lost. He needed protection, so he was able to wander into the tent, even though there was a spell over the tent. Ah, good guess, Clara. Luca nodded. Grom would definitely cast a spell like that. Then the little wolf pup stood up and perked her ears. The children stopped talking and listened. There's a little wolf pup. Isn't that cute? They're hearing something now. They're all listening. What do you think they're hearing? I know what it is. They're hearing this. I'll bet you. So, no, I'm sorry. It's talking. Someone's talking outside, Lucas whispered. It sounds like trolls. Clara cupped a hand to her ear. I hear humans too. The voices were close. So close, the kids froze. That pup has to be around here somewhere, boomed a troll's gruff voice. Look at these torn tents, another troll said. That the pack is looking for that pup too. Okay, the trolls are talking and they can tell the tents are torn up, and they deduce that the wolf pack is looking for the pup. And so they tore up the tents trying to get inside to look and see if the pup was there. Footsteps crunched closer to the wizard's tent. The kids held their breath, even though they knew Grom's spell would protect them. There are the trolls. They're looking everywhere. They can't see Grom's tent because it's invisible. We'd better find that pup first, one of the men said. She would fetch us some big money. Okay, the trolls want to sell the pup. Then they walked away from the campsite. They are hunters, whispered Clara to Lucas. Suddenly, Grom stormed into the great room, and Lucas covered the wolf pup with a blanket without thinking. Grom storms in, and Lucas is trying to hide the wolf pup. Did you hear that? Grom barked. He looked very angry. Those fools are after a dire wolf, and that is against the law. You stay here. I'm going to find them and bring them to justice. Wait, said the prince, who wanted to tell Grom about the hidden pup. Okay, he says, wait. Grom wants to go out and catch those guys. So now they're talking. But the wizard interrupted him. I'm sorry, Prince Lucas, but this is too dangerous. You must stay here, and whatever you do, do not leave the tent. Your safety depends on it. Grom, started Clara. The wizard opened the flap on the tent and looked over his shoulder. Don't worry, Clara. I sent word to the king requesting help, he said. Now, do as I say and stay put. Isn't that frustrated? Grob won't even listen, and they're trying to tell them that the wolf pup is there, and he won't even listen. See, it's not always little kids who don't listen. Sometimes adults don't listen to what little kids are saying. There they are. Grom is off to try to catch the evil hunter trolls. The flap shut behind him, and the kids were left alone with one sleepy dire pup. Oh, he's all tired. He wants to snooze. The picture. Chapter 5, last chapter for this reading. Oh, that's so cute. Dire plan. Clara glared at the prince. You know we should have told Grom about the pup. Lucas grabbed his backpack and stuffed any food he could find into it. Sausages, bread, fruit, and more. We tried, he said. Besides, I have a plan. A plan? Clara asked. What kind of a plan? Lucas smiled. We're returning the pup to her wolf pack. Dire wolves always travel every few days, so we don't have much time. Lucas, you shouldn't leave the tent, man. Okay, so Lucas is packing up some food. He says we've got to find the wolf pack so we can return the dire pup. I wonder if he has taken into account the fact that they might tear him to pieces when they find him with the wolf pup. Maybe not. He's very young and innocent. Maybe they won't. We'll see. Clara nodded thoughtfully. Good idea, but how is the pup going to follow us? I'm not putting her on a leash. Lucas held up his bag of food. You don't need a leash if you have snacks. Watch and learn. So they're going to make the pup follow them because they'll have sausages in the bag and the pup will follow. The prince waved a sausage in front of the pup and walked around the tent. The pup sniffed the air, then followed Lucas everywhere. Ruskin was interested too. Lucas tore the sausage into 2 pieces and tossed one to the pup and one to Ruskin. They both ate it up and looked back to Lucas, asking for more. Lucas tossed another piece, and the pair collided trying to catch it. The dire pup let out a series of tiny sneezes. Looks like you are allergic to dragons, huh? Said Lucas. We'll make sure to keep you two apart. Even a tired dire wolf sneeze can be tracked by the hunters. Okay, so that's an interesting fact that will play some part in this story. The wolf has a little bit of an allergy to the dragon, so he sneezes a little bit when he comes close to Ruskin. So we'll see how that comes up later in the story, but I have a feeling that it will. Okay. As they stepped out of the tent, Lucas told Ruskin to fly overhead and look for signs of the wolf pack. Pay attention to caves, Ruskin, Lucas directed. Wolves like to hide during the day. Ruskin squawked and took off, looking for the wolf pack. The kids watched and waited for signals from Ruskin. Twice, the dragon spied a cave, squawked, and swooped down to check the cave for direwolves. Both times, the dragon soared back into the sky and signaled no. After checking a third cave, Ruskin didn't return. I wonder what's taking him so long, Lucas said. Do you think he found the pack? Asked Clara. A rumble of voices erupted from the forest. They were trolls, and they were cheering about a new catch. It's the hunters, he cried. They must have caught Ruskin. Oh, no. Clara grabbed Lucas by the arm. We have to rescue him. Lucas picked up the pup and was about to run toward the shouting when a full-grown direwolf stepped out of the forest. It snarled, and more snarls echoed around them. Lucas and Clara were surrounded by the pack. Look at that. There they are. They're all the direwolves. They're surrounding them. And there are Lucas and Clara and the baby. So this is probably not a good situation. And we're going to find out what happens next time on Chapter 6, Den of Wolves, the Kingdom of Wrenly. Talk to you later, girls. Bye-bye.